Mm. Yes, Miss Chris. What do you mean, bro? Amen.
1 minute to group.
All right, it's time to grow. Time to grow. Time to grow. Time to grow. Let's go. Time to grow. Time to grow. Move it up. Move time.
Well, good morning.
Sorry about that, Mr. Barney.
That's all right, y'all. Going in the wrong direction. Good morning. It is time.
Group time. Let's go. Group time.
So, everybody all right this morning?
Yes, sir.
So why do we have to start group on time?
Courteous.
Say it again.
Courteous.
It is courteous, yeah, it is. It also gets us prepared for when we go back out, when we have our jobs and stuff like that. We are going to be expected to be at group on time, so or to be at work on time. So this is how we begin to prepare for that. It's also, we have another group that's on the TV, and so we have to start when they get there. So we have to start on time. Happy New Year's Eve. Today is New Year's Eve. Our group is usually a couple hours long. Today it may not be that. It may be an hour long, but that's okay because it's New Year's Eve. Doing things a little, unorthodox today. If you are here, and I see some new faces here this morning, if you are new, make sure that you get with your counselor, and your counselor gets you a book. Okay? Everybody has to have a book, and when you get that book, you bring it to group with you every time you bring it to group, or every time you come to group. You begin in that book on the first page of the book, and you work through the book. The book has some really good stuff in it. You may not be able to complete working in that book before you are complete with your program here, but that's okay. You take your book home with you, and you can continue to work in it when you're there. Now, when we come together in groups every morning, 9 o'clock, then we're going to be on page 21 because that's where it has the stages that we're working through. So that's where you need to be every morning when you get in here. We do this 5 days a week, so you'll be able to do it. There's some of you, I don't know you yet. We'll get to meet each other today. You, I know, but you're considered new, so we'll get to meet. We've already met, but you, I'm not sure, and so we'll get to meet with everybody today. I'm Dr. Garner. I am the clinical manager here. I do the groups because I really like doing groups. So we'll all meet and everything and talk, and you and I haven't met either, but we will today because this group's going to be a little bit truncated. That means it's going to be a little shorter, and we'll, where is he? When I said truncated, I expected him to tell me what that meant. But did he leave? No, he can't be in there. Oh, maybe he did. I don't know. We'll see. But today is Wednesday. It is the very last day of the year, and that's a big deal. And if we look up here, this is, what is this? A very poor rendition of the brand new year coming in. That's supposed to be a baby in a diaper down here. If you don't have any arms and legs, they'll grow out later. And that over there is the old year leaving. So, that's not a very good painting this morning, but I got tied up, so, it had to go real quickly. Look, we have sheets going around with your name. Your name needs to go on there. We have HHSC. If you're here and HHSC is paying for you to be here, put your name on there. Make it legible. Yesterday, I could not give somebody credit for a group because I couldn't read your name. Don't know who it was. Yes, sir?
You said to print, not cursive?
Look, if you want to write it in cursive, I'm excited. I'm really, I'm impressed with that. Everybody ought to be able to write in cursive. And if you can, and you can write it so that I can read it, then certainly do use that. It's a superpower. If you can't, you print your name out beside it. Either that or have one of the counselors take a picture of you and get a little bitty one and post that on the thing here. Because, like I say, if I can't read your name, yesterday I tried to discover who it was by eliminating everybody else and then going back and saying it could be this person. But what I looked at, it still didn't look like anybody that was still there. So that person didn't get credit for the group. HHSC needs to see you getting credit for the group. They won't pay for you being here. So, they have a set amount of groups that you have to do. The state says you have to do them. If I can't tell you that this is, if I can't tell them that you did that, it's not going to pay for you being here. Yes, sir.
Who's HASC?
HHSC, Health and Human Services. So it's the Health and Human Services. And then there's another group that pays for other people. It's called TAP. And over here, they don't do it at North. They should do it at North. Over here, we have a mark that says HHSC on one page, and the other one says TAIP. TAIP is a probation office, and you'll know whether or not you're part of that. So you sign on the right one. So make sure that if you're HHSC, which 90% of us are, there's only 2 of us here that are TAP, sign your name on that sheet, the correct sheet, and then sign it so I can read it. All right? So, and I'll be over after a while to pick up the stuff from North. So, questions we've already got. See on ours over here, it has HHSC on the bottom of it there. And on the other one, see how that ought to be right there? I know y'all can't see that, but it says HHSC on the bottom of it. And on this one, it says TAIP. And so we've got one person on here now, and there's one other person that's supposed to be on here, and I don't see their name. So that's the other thing. If you're here and you don't sign in, again, you don't get credit. Sometimes I'll tell you this, if I know you and I know you were here and you didn't sign in, sometimes I'll write you. I won't put your signature on there because I can't, but I can write your name in there saying I saw that person in group. So all right, if you don't have a book, remember, you still don't have a book, sir? Oh, I see you have a book. So you don't have a book, and if you don't have a book, talk to your counselor. You should get a book today. So on Wednesday, right now, we're still talking about physical health, and we're not going to be really talking about that today. What we're going to do today is go over the different ways that people celebrate the brand new year coming in and the old year going out around the world. Okay? So, we talked about the fact that usually when we get into this stuff, we're in kind of a poor place when it comes to our health and all of that kind of stuff. We're not feeling good. Everything is going pretty badly. And, our health hasn't really been looked at real closely. But now we're in a little bit of recovery now. So we said, okay, we're starting to contemplate what's going on with my health. And that's something for us to take care of, because here's the deal. As you grow older, you're going to probably, not necessarily, there's always outliers, but you're probably going to have a few more health issues that happen to you as you go along. As everybody in this group knows, over the last month, I haven't felt well. My stomach is all messed up and all of this stuff. And so I went to my gastroenterologist. What's that? That's a tummy doctor, yeah. So they sent me to get a CAT scan. So they did the CAT scan. They did all of that kind of stuff. They called me this morning. They said, man, everything's perfect. Everything's all right. You don't have any problem. Okay, you just have severe pain in your stomach. Okay. So now on the 14th, I'm going to have an arteriogram, which they're going to check, so see if something else is going on. Because it is not. Why do we have pain in our bodies? We're dying. Shut up. No. Usually, I'm sure sometimes it's painful when people croak, but, not all the time. But here's the deal. We have pain because God Almighty put that in us as a warning sign to show us that there's something wrong. So if it hurts when you do this, don't just stop doing this. Go to the doctor and find out why it hurts when you do this, because it was put in there for you. It's a warning sign for you to know that there's something there. So the pain in my stomach is there to tell me that there's something not right. So even though the gastroenterologist says, ain't nothing wrong with your belly, something wrong, right? So on the third one, we've already said, hey, our health may be a little bit poor. Then we started contemplating it, thinking about, hey, what, I might need to do something to deal with this. I might need to do some exercise. We went all over exercise yesterday and what kind of great stuff that good. Exercise not only helps my physical health, it also helps my mental health and my spiritual health and my social health and every other kind of health. So at the third stage, I get to the place where I am actually preparing to do something. You have actively thought about improving your physical health at that point. You have developed or begun to develop a plan toward improving your physical health. So now I'm at that place where I'm working on getting something done. Yesterday I was sitting around thinking about, man, I need to do something. There's some things that I might need to do. And now today I'm looking at, so what can I do? What can I do? I can go to the gym. The gym's right over there. And I started going to that gym several months back. I'm going to a gym in Anahuac, because I live way down that way, and my insurance paid for it, so it was free. So it was a really good place to go, but it was an old people's gym. It didn't have much at all in there. So I went over to this gym, and that gym over there's got thousands of things. Well, probably not. They got a lot of stuff in there, so you can do all sorts of stuff. But I was trying to figure out how much it cost, and the guy looked at me and insulted me and said, well, at your age, I said, dude, I'm 29, What do you mean at my age, He said, well, if you were older, then, your insurance will pay for it. That's okay. So my insurance is paying for that, so it's free. And I go over there and all of that stuff. But look, what we do you don't have to go join a gym. You just need to get up. We need at some point to get up and start walking around, start doing something, start running, start doing some type of exercise. It's going to help us in our recovery. It's going to help us in our physical health, mental health, social health, spiritual health, all sorts of things. It's going to help everything about us. So the fact that we as a people, we as a nation, we as a culture, we as an addicted person, we don't exercise. What usually on the usual day for us is a day of sedation. We don't do anything. When I come through here, yesterday I saw somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they were running around the outside, round and around. And I said, man, that's fantastic. But when I'm in my office, I'm doing all the work and everything that I have to do, and I'll come through this office to go back that way. There's 9 people sitting on these 3 little old nasty, ugly couches here watching the tube, you know. That's the most exercise as a people we usually get. You know, just one of us gets that exercise, and you know, and they got a little exercise in the thumb, and the thumb is in a little bit better shape. But for the rest of us, you know, the only thing that's getting exercised every now and then is our eyelids when we blink a little bit. But most of us are zoned and we ain't blinking. You know, so we don't do much exercise at all as a people. We don't exercise. How come? I had a fella tell me yesterday. And he said, well, I don't really want to get a job. I said, okay. Why don't you want to get a job? Because it's hard. What? It's hard. I want to find a job that ain't hard. That's why we don't exercise, because it's hard. You know, we're lazy, no count, no good for nothing, lowering the snake fit in a weight, wagon rut, piece of trash. You know, we don't want to do anything. Other than maybe take some drugs, stuff like that. But today, you know, we've actively thought about improving our physical health. We've developed, or we've began to develop, a plan toward improving my physical health. And look, I want to tell you something. You don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You just need to get up. You need to get up. You know, one thing I would challenge people to do is to just keep up with it, journal it, see how many hours a day I am actually sitting. I'm actually sedate. I'm actually doing nothing. Now, I got to go I just went to my cardiologist. I got to go back on the 14th. They're going to do some tests and all of that kind of stuff. My cardiologist knows that I go and work out and all of this stuff, and I have been ordered by my doctor not to do any of that right now. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of counterintuitive, right? It's good for you to exercise, but don't exercise, because if you do, it could kill you right now, you know. So that's the deal. But what we need to do is just get up. Sleeping in group is not always allowed, but when you announce it by snoring so loud that everybody else has to stay awake, we have folks who help you. Thank you for helping. So anyway, that's what we're doing there. And look, anything that we can do, anything, get up, walk around, do something, right? So we're going to just talk about today. Look, try to make it fun. Y'all remember when we had the thing on Christmas, what they did in different countries to deal with Christmas, to celebrate Christmas? We're going to look at that today about New Year's. And there's not as much stuff about New Year's, but just about every country in the world celebrates New Year's in some way or another. And so we're going to look at some of those things. And some of them are a little weird and all of that kind of stuff, but it's okay. How do we celebrate New Year's? How is it? Fireworks, you said? Yeah, we're going to do fireworks. I'll tell you, I live out in the country. I've got a friend across the street from me, and he brings his grandchildren over every year. Used to be, his wife passed away a while back, but used to be when she was alive that the kids were there at their house, and man, fireworks all the time. But now at least once a year they bring them in, and usually it's around this time of year. Tonight, when I'm trying to go, I go to sleep at 8 o'clock at night. When I go to bed tonight, it's going to be just about time for fireworks, isn't it? And they're going to be blowing fireworks off and all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes I'm out on my front porch and you can hear the residue from the fireworks that they're shooting up there falling on my car. I'm not really appreciative of that. But, you know, that's what we do. What else do we do? We have a big old meal on New Year's Day. What do we have on New Year's Day? What's the meal? What's a customary meal for New Year's Day?
Cornbread, black-eyed peas.
Yeah, black-eyed peas, cornbread, cabbage. You know, those are the things we eat. My wife is making a roast black-eyed peas. I don't know if she's going to do cabbage or not. I hope so. But she had me stop on the way home last night and buy a thing of pick sweet black-eyed peas and some baby lima beans at the same time. I don't know if she's going to mix them together or what, but it's supposed to be black-eyed peas. And if you don't eat black-eyed peas, you don't get good luck for the whole year. Isn't that true? I don't know what that, I don't believe in all those superstitious things, but that's what we do. You know, we just have a good time. There again, there's football games on TV all day long. A lot of people go and eat a big meal and sit down and watch TV all day long. I don't watch a whole lot of football. I have nothing against football. I love football. I think it builds character and all of that kind of stuff. So when my grandson was playing, he's older and got his own business and gone now. But when he was playing, 12 years old and all of that stuff, I didn't miss a game. I was there. I did all the crazy stuff that grandpas are supposed to do, you know, for football. I don't get excited about grown men who are making $75 million a year running around in tights. I just don't do that. Yeah, okay. That's just who I am. But if you do, that's okay. There's nothing in the world wrong with it. If somebody would pay me $75 million, $140 million a year to play a child's game, I'm all up for it. Let's go do it. I ain't all that good, but I do it, you know, for 20 minutes or so. I don't need the $75 or $80 million. I just play for a week, you know, get a week's pay and then quit. But here's the deal. The concept of celebrating the new year is a universal one. What does that mean?
It's everywhere.
What is it?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can't go anywhere that it's not done. Sometimes, though, the New Year is celebrated at a different time of year. We celebrate it on January the 1st, right? Today's the last day of the year. It's December the 31st. There ain't going to be any more 2025. It's never going to happen again. It's done. It's gone. This is the end of it. And that's 2025. Leaving right there. Now, he don't look too happy about leaving, but that don't matter. He's gone. So, we got a brand new year that's coming in. 12:01 tonight. It's going to be 2026. And for the first 6-7 months out of the year, we're going to put 2025 by mistake, but it happened. So, the timing, the customs that are associated with it vary greatly from culture to culture. January 1st marks the beginning of the year in a whole lot of places in the world, not just here, but there are numerous other New Year celebrations that show what people do in the global cultures. There's different things in different areas of the world. I was in England, and somebody talked to me about the 4th of July. Do they celebrate the 4th of July in England? No. No, why not? Why won't they celebrate the 4th of July in England? Say what it is? Say it again? Yeah. That's Independence Day for us, right? It's only our Independence Day. So you're not going to find now, if I'm in England on the 4th of July, I'm going to celebrate, but I'm not celebrating anything that they've done. I'm celebrating something that our country's done, right? So that's why they don't celebrate that. But the New Year happens for everybody. So it's all around the world. We're going to take a look at some of those things beyond that. Shed a little bit of light on the diverse traditions and customs that make each one of those things unique. Rosh Hashanah, what's that? That's the Jewish New Year. Call it Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. It's a significant event in the Jewish calendar. It falls in September or sometimes in October. So they celebrate the New Year in September or October. That would be completely weird for us, marking the beginning of the high holy days in Judaism. So they're doing something a little different. During this time, the Jewish communities worldwide, all over the world, come together to reflect on the past year, They take a look at that. We do to some extent. We look at what went on last year. We can, this just our group right here, we can look back and see what went on last year. We hired somebody named Dennis Farmer who came in and totally transformed our company. This company, Land Manor, I came to work for Land Manor in September of, not last year, but the year before that. Just went over a year. And the Land Manor that I went to work for back in that September in 23, I guess it was, not the same place. Not the same place. This company completely changed. And we look a little bit toward the future, what's going to go on. Some of you were at the Christmas party, and Mr. Farmer said the next year is looking for the good. Remember that?
Right.
So we're going to be looking for the good. And he told me, a couple of months ago, he said, man, I really want to give you a car. I said, that's a good thing. He said, but we got to come up with a program so everybody else thinks they have a chance of winning it too. No. I'm going to do what I do in 2026, but 2026 is going to be a different year for me. It's going to be a different year at our church. We're changing everything at our church. I'm going to change some things in my life, all of that stuff. And so at the end, this may not be part of what I do. If I go up there and they look at my heart on the 14th and say, hey, man, you're going to die in 6 months. You think I'm going to stay here? Probably not. I don't know where I go, but I'm not going to do something a little bit different. One of the most iconic things that, they look toward the back. They reflect on the past year, and we should be doing that. They seek forgiveness. Now, look, I seek forgiveness, and I've sought forgiveness, and I tell you what, I've received it from the Lord Jesus Christ. I stand before you, a person that if I fall over dead right now will be standing before the Lord Jesus Christ, ready to go into eternity. And, that's a fantastic, wonderful thing. And I look back and see what God has done in my life over the last year. And I look forward and say, man, there's some really great things that he can do in the year that's going ahead. They pray for a sweet and prosperous new year ahead. One of the most iconic things that they do is the blowing of the shofar, which is a ram's horn trumpet. I've seen a few people that have had, blow the horn and stuff as they're doing some stuff in churches. I'm not really into that. That's fine. You want to blow a ram's horn, all of that stuff. I'm not into that. I do know that the Jewish people are God's chosen people, but they have to turn and choose Jesus as the Lord and Savior, or they're going to get left behind. So I don't need all of that. What I need is what He's giving me. Families gather for festive meals featuring symbolic foods like apples dipped in honey. I ate one of the apples. Those aren't bad apples. They're pretty good apples. But I'm here to tell you that I'm thinking that almost anything dipped in honey is pretty good. Being a diabetic and being addicted to sugar, which I'm not, I'd stand against that. Sugar doesn't bother me anymore. But, just about, if you read the Bible, you talk about John the Baptist. He stayed out in the desert, and he ate honey and locusts. Yeah, isn't that something? You gotta believe that he got him some wild honey, and he was dipping those locusts in that wild honey, which shows you that even if you dip a roach in enough honey, it's gonna taste pretty good, right? So that's what they're doing. They're putting apples and honey, symbolizing the wish for a sweet new year. So they eat pomegranates, representing the hope for the year filled with good deeds. All of that's pretty good stuff. That's what they do then. I could eat an apple dipped in honey, I think. I don't eat honey because honey, and how long will honey last? Forever. Honey will not spoil, So you can find honey. They have found honey in not the pyramids, but they found honey in some of those old tombs over there. Figured they've been there 3,000-4,000 years. The honey's still good. Honey will not spoil. That's pretty good stuff. So how about China? Yeah, the Chinese New Year. You got to know, who was it that invented fireworks? Chinese invented fireworks, and they used them as weapons, and they did all of that kind of stuff to start with, but they're the first ones came up with it. And so you would expect them to be using a lot of fireworks in their celebrations, and they do. So they call it the Lunar New Year, which is a Chinese New Year, also known as the Spring Festival. The Chinese nation is not a per se Christian nation. They try to be a secular nation. There's millions of Christians there, but they try not to deal with that. It's celebrated in China by the Chinese communities worldwide. Unlike the Gregorian calendar, that's the calendar we go by, which follows a fixed date. Our brand new year is the same every year. January the 1st is the brand new year, right? It's the same every year. It's going to maybe on a different day, but it's the same date every year. Theirs changes. The Chinese New Year is based on the lunar calendar and falls between January the 21st and February the 20th. So anywhere in there, according to where the moon phase is, they can have their new year. Isn't that weird? That's a little different. It's just tradition, nothing wrong with it, but it's a little different than our thing. Each year is associated with one of the 12 zodiac animals. Y'all seen that goofy stuff, huh? Rotating in a cycle. The festivities include a bunch of parades. They call them vibrant parades. You know, you've seen the ones with the dragons and all of that kind of stuff going up and down. Kind of reminds me of ours. We're going to have a New Year parade. You leaving us? What? I can't hear you at all. You know that. I don't hear you.
Oh, I don't hear you. I was going to excuse myself. Yes, sir. I didn't mean to fall asleep.
Okay. All right. See, just don't excuse yourself. Leave him group.
You just got here yesterday.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. And if you don't feel, you can go lay down or something. They have in these vibrant parades. They have dragons and lions dancing. They have a lot of fireworks, like we already said, and the giving of red envelopes. And the red envelopes are called hongbao. Hongbao. I don't know if I want a hongbao or not, but it's a red envelope. And look, I might take a hongbao or two because those hongbaos are full of money. So they go around, with filling up money. When I first got here from Mississippi, I come from Mississippi, and I moved to Texas. I met my wife, and we got married and all of that kind of stuff. Somebody died in her family, and we went to the funeral. And one of the traditions that happened at that funeral, they're all French, they're from Louisiana and all of this stuff, was giving of small envelopes. And they, just everybody in the world was going up and saying, "I'm so sorry for your loss. I know he was looking so good." And then all of a sudden he croaked. It was just horrible. It's terrible. Great loss for the family. The whole world is going to be sad. And they give them a little envelope. I said, well, that's nice, But then I found out later that there's money in those envelopes. All of that is to help pay for the funeral. And I thought that was really, really good. So, and probably in the next 30, 35, 40 years, I'm going to die. Everybody does. So I would love it if you guys would come to my funeral and bring a little hongbao with you. Give it to my wife, here's the hongbao, So this symbolizes good luck and prosperity. Now look, those little red envelopes don't have to have tons and tons and lots of money in them. If they just put 1 or 2 yen, a couple of bucks, or something in there, it symbolizes we want you to have good luck for the next year and we want you to have prosperity for the next. How many people want to be prosperous for the next year? I do. I want to be prosperous for the next year. Hey, say it again. You rather be on the inside than the out. So we're going to get a big envelope, and we're going to put him in that. All right.
Home by who?
Home by who? Yeah, okay. I knew there was somebody here that talked Chinese. Anyway, then there is the Persian New Year. That's Persia. The Persian New Year. They call it Nowruz, or New Day. In the Persian New Year celebrated by Iranians and various other communities over in the Middle East, Central Asia, and beyond, it marks the arrival of spring and falls on the vernal equinox. What in the world is the vernal equinox? It happens typically on March the 20th or the 21st. So theirs doesn't necessarily have to be on the same day either. This is a celestial happening when the planets align and stuff like that, called the vernal equinox. And so they do it then. Preparations for Nowruz began weeks in advance. They getting ready for it. You know, we usually at my house, like I said, my wife made me go by and pick up some black-eyed peas. And so we're going to have a traditional meal tomorrow. I will be up here, but we'll have a traditional meal tomorrow when I get home. And it's going to be a good time and all that kind. I like black-eyed peas. Y'all like black-eyed peas? The only thing we're not going to have is like the gentleman there was talking about cornbread. We don't eat a lot of. I wish we did. I love cornbread, but my wife don't make it very often. So it says, look, it starts weeks in advance. They clean their houses really, really well. And my wife and I clean our house really, really well before Christmas because the kids are coming over, you know. And so we want to make sure the house is clean. They have what's called and they not only clean it, they decorate it too. We don't do a lot of decorating for the new year. We decorate and do all of that kind of stuff for Christmas, right? Well, where I live, everybody in the world got lights all over their houses. You know, we do that and we let it stay up until after the new year, and then we'll take it down. But they decorate their houses for their new year, and they have what's called the half-scene table. Now, the half-scene table has 7 symbolic items that start with the Persian letter S. In the central element of the celebrations, people also visit friends and family, exchange gifts, and engage in various festive activities. Now, they have these 7 things that's on the table that begin with an S, but they didn't say what. You know, and I'm thinking, my goodness, why don't you say what? Could be, I don't know, slime, sut, you know, I don't know what they have on their table, but, you know, it all starts with an S. Silly stuff. I don't know, you know. So in Thailand, they have a pretty good thing. It's called the Songkran Water Festival. And it's said to be a splash of joy. All right? Yeah. Okay. So you can't not leave people alone. Okay, you got to find somebody.
I'm sorry.
You're doing something. Yeah, okay. Doing something or something. In the new year.
And this is gonna stop.
Yeah. Do you like squirrels?
Yes.
You do. I like squirrels. So in the new year, we're going to take your chair and put it outside the door so you can be with the squirrel. Happy New Year. So Songkran, the Thai New Year, is celebrated in mid-April. So it's a completely different time of year than ours. It's renowned for its water festivals, during which people splash water on each other as a symbol of cleansing and purification. You know, we do that in the summer at our church, but we have blow-up things over there in water balloons. You know, and that's a lot of fun. Songkran is a time for paying respects to the elders. I think maybe we ought to do some song granting around here sometimes, visiting their temples and participating in traditional ceremonies that they have. In addition to water festivities, people create sand pagodas at the temple. They participate in parades, enjoy traditional Thai dishes with their family. It embodies the spirit of renewal and unity for their people. So in the Hindu New Year, they have a festival of lights and renewal. It's called Diwali. It's also known as I can't say it, Deepavali, or the Festival of Lights. It's a Hindu festival celebrated across India and by Hindu communities worldwide. While it's not the official Hindu New Year, it marks the victory of light over darkness and is a time for spiritual reflection and new beginnings. During Diwali, homes are decorated with lamps and candles, colorful, creative designs made with colored powders. They decorate the streets with those. Families exchange gifts like we do at Christmas. They enjoy special sweets and have firework displays. It's a time for cleansing one's soul and welcoming prosperity and happiness. So that's a good idea. It's a good thing to be ascribing to and all of that stuff. In the Islamic New Year, it's also known as the Hijri New Year. It's observed by Muslims worldwide. It marks the beginning of the Islamic lunar calendar and typically occurs in the first month of the Islamic calendar, Muharram. The exact date varies every year based on the lunar calendar. So it falls on different dates in the Gregorian calendar, which is our calendar. We're going to be at a different date according to the moon phases and stuff like that. That to me would be a little bit confusing, wouldn't it? Because I know when Christmas comes. In the year 2028, I will be 75 years old. I'm probably going to retire from here. However, Christmas that year is going to come on December the 25th. Right? So I know if I happen to live for 40 more years, whatever that year is, Christmas is going. But with the lunar calendar, it can come at different times according to the mood that the moon is in. So, falls on different times. While there are no grand festivities associated with the Islamic New Year, Muslims will often go to the mosque. They will read the Quran, spend some time with family and friends. It's a time to reflect on their actions, seek spiritual growth in the coming New Year. So, y'all know who the Maori are? I can't say that word. It's celebrated in New Zealand. There's a group of people there called the Maori. And the exact date varies from year to year, but it typically falls in the late May or early June. It's marked by the appearance of there's a star cluster that you can't see all year long. But when you do see that star cluster, we call it the Pleiades. When all of those, you can see sometimes all of those, the Pleiades, what's it called? Meteor showers and all of that stuff comes. That's when they have their new year in the pre-dawn sky. So the celebration, they do a lot of storytelling. They do some traditional dances and sharing of myths and legends that they have. It's a time to acknowledge the connections between people, the land, and the environment. People often come together for feasts and cultural activities. Some stuff. I will bet you $1 against a dozen dimes that they shoot some fireworks down off in there, don't you think? That's a good thing to do. So I would bet you that they do that. Ethiopian. Ethiopian New Year is celebrated on September the 11th or the 12th. So it's called Inkatatash. And Inkatatash means gift of jewel in Amharic. So it marks the end of the rainy season in Ethiopia and the starting of a new year on the Ethiopian calendar. The celebration includes family gatherings, traditional songs, unique food like Doro Wat.
What the heck is that?
Doro Wat. You don't know what Doro Wat is? I bet you have eaten some Doro Wat. Yeah. The guy here makes Doro Wat a whole lot. It's a spicy chicken stew. You know, it tastes like hot chicken. You know, spicy chicken stew. And injera, which is just flatbread. So you know that's what they are doing. So here's the deal. Do you see anything that's similar to what we do? Yeah, and just about all of those things, there's a similarity. We're usually going to get together with our family. We're going to have some, and we're going to eat. We're going to have something that is special to us. One of the things that's special to me, or has been down through the years, you know, on Thanksgiving, what do we have?
Turkey.
We're going we're going to eat some turkey and some dressing and some stuff like that. Yes, sir.
He's about to real fast. I just got back from helping.
Yes, sir.
Like I read that.
Anyway, so and we do that. Lots of places use fireworks to celebrate. Why do we do that? We want the moving from one year to the next year to be a big boom. We want it to be a big thing that's going on. In our country, I don't know how many other countries do it, but I bet you a lot of them do. We make our New Year's what? Resolution. What do we do on January the 3rd?
We break that.
We break our resolution. They say, well, I'm quitting smoking, but by the 3rd, here we go back. I'm going to lose some weight by the 3rd. I'm getting in the gym by the 3rd. You know, it's all, we ain't going to do that crap. You know, but it's still good to make resolutions. So because that gives us a shot, a minute, we can do something about something. So, while January the 1st is the most widely recognized New Year's celebration, there is a world of diversity on how different cultures mark the beginning of a new year. So, embracing these diverse customs not only fosters cultural appreciation, but also deepens our understanding of the shared human experience. And look, here's the deal. I do think and I do want to understand how other cultures do the things they do. Right? It's interesting to me to know how the Maori do things in New Zealand. It's interesting. That doesn't mean I'm changing mine. No, I'm still going to do it on January the 1st. Christmas is on December the 25th. I'm still going to do what I do, but I really and respect and honor what they do in their cultures as well. So that's a good thing. Understanding those little bitty things can be invaluable to global brands when reaching out to international audiences to ensure that their content resonates with the cultural contents of ours. You know, here's the deal. When I'm reaching out to other cultures, trying to do some things with other cultures, isn't it good for me to know what's going on in those other cultures? Yeah. There's a lot of what's the one thing that we have in common as a group of people with all of those different cultures?
We celebrate the same holidays.
We do celebrate the same holidays. Well, a lot of the times we celebrate them the same way, but a lot of those things are completely foreign to us, and we don't really even recognize what's going on with them. But as a group of people, as folks that are in recovery from the whole world over, there are people who are in recovery just like we are. And we need to know that this addictive issue, this problem that we're trying to work ourselves through, it has not, it didn't just stop with us. It's been with everybody everywhere, the whole world over. There's people who have issues with drugs and alcohol. So it's not just us. One of the things that does for me is let me know that, hey, I'm not unique in my misery. I'm not unique. I'm not the only one in the world that was weak enough to have this happen to me. It's a worldwide phenomenon. So, knowing that makes me feel a little bit better about who I am. So, questions, comments, or snide remarks?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Say it again?
Obviously, it's kind of wow. New Year circle around the person.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty interesting too that some people in the world don't go by our calendar.
Right.
I can't imagine having a calendar that is affected by the moon. How can the moon affect my calendar? But it does in some cultures. So my calendar, the calendar that I have on my computer and that I can pop up in there, makes no sense to people who have that, and that calendar makes no sense to me at all. Yes, sir. You had something?
Oh, I was going to ask you, what number of cup you want to cover today? Did you make it without your overall yesterday?
Did I make it?
You said it's not remarks today, so I was. Oh yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about. I can't hear it.
Said how many cups of coffee?
How many cups of coffee have I had today yet? Day ain't over yet. But at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4, and I still have, I'm still working on this one. So, all right, well, look, what I want to do is wish everybody a fantastic new year. It's going to be 2026. 2026. I was around. You guys might not remember Y2K. Anybody here old enough to remember Y2K?
All the computers out there were shut down.
Yeah, everything. The world's going to end. The computers can't work. Everybody was freaked out. People were buying food. I had a minister in our church. After Y2K was over with, a couple of weeks later, he came up and said, "Hey, brother, you want some beans?" I said, "What?" He said, "You want some beans?" He bought like 500 pounds of beans. He just thought, we're going to have to eat something. We got beans. So I said, sure, I'll take 5 pounds of beans. He had enough beans to feed the whole church for the rest of eternity. People do goofy stuff. So it didn't do anything. Y3K, not going to do anything. That's
what about the Aztec mine counter?
No, that's goofiness. I know there was, when the Aztec Mayan calendar ended, you can see 4 or 5 Aztec priests sitting around. They say, "Hey, we got to end the calendar right here. Why come?" "Well, we broke the chisel again." Everybody says, "Well, the world's going to come to an end because some guy 14 million years ago said, well, let's just stop the calendar here. It's Thursday. And I want to take Friday off, so let's just, okay, what you think, Bob?" Yeah, it's okay. And they just stop it. They just, at some point, hey, the guy that was making the calendar, he died yesterday. Somebody going to take that? No. And just let it stop, right? We ain't going to do it. People freak out for stupidity. All of this stuff goes, if you want to know exactly what's going to happen in the future, just hang around and watch. Or read the Bible. That'll show you as well. So happy New Year, everybody. We're going to call it quits for the day.